Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Debits and Credits with the Haas and Ah. Today's podcast is going to talk about escrow officer compensation. We're not going to tell you how much to pay people. We're just going to tell you how to pay people. That may sound like a redundancy, but in other words, we're not going to come up with a specific formula for you that's a catch-all, a win-all. But we're going to talk about how compensation works with escrow officers, how it's important, why it's important, how to arrive at formula of some sort that makes sense for you as management and for you as the employee, depending on I guess the direction that you're looking for with this one particular discussion. Now, why is compensation important? Well, besides the obvious of that's how people get paid and how people live in today's world, it's important relative to recruiting, enticing new people to come work for you, retaining good employees, creating a beneficial situation within the company. And so it's important to know what compensation packages work and are available and make sense for what you want to do. There's many times when you're going to be interviewing escrow officers, they may already have a compensation package in mind when they come to you, and or how they were paid someplace else, or what they think how they'd like to get paid, and it may or may not fit within your model. And it's something where you can adapt. Meaning, if it's something that your model is what you want to follow, then that's what it needs to be. If it's something where, because of the conversation with this employee recruiting, that it makes sense as to relative to what you're going to be generating in revenue to what's being paid out, that you're okay making an adoption to your policy and making some changes and so on. So there are different models out there, and we've seen some where it's a straight pay concept. We've seen some where there's a payroll, a wage with a commission. We've some with a low base payroll and a high commission, some with a high base payroll and a low commission, and every combination in two. We've seen situations with tiers where the commission structure changes as more revenue is generated. Now, you don't want to necessarily say that any of these, again, are better or worse, the best or the least, preferred, not preferred. Um, they all have tweaks to them. They all have variety to them. They all have options to them. And so it's just a matter of trying to throw some education out there to see what works out. Now, a base salary, this is where the employee can be expecting the same wage every pay period, whether it's a salary, a pure salary where it's the same amount every paycheck, or it's a wage, so to speak, where it's an hourly basis, but the employee knows that they're getting paid so many dollars per hour, and just because someone gets paid hourly doesn't mean they can't also receive either bonuses or a commission. Now, a commission structure is where the compensation of the person is linked to revenue, linked to their performance. And then there's also signing bonuses. This is something where a recruited employee is getting something up front when the contract is signed, so to speak, for them to come on board. There's also those retention bonuses. This is something that can be paid over time, over the employment history of the person, because one, you want to keep good employees. You want to keep your top people working for the company, feeling that it's a good environment, and these retention bonuses can also can be done on a regular basis, an irregular basis. It can be based on company performance. It can be based on personal performance of the employee, and so all these things are due as a benefit to the employees of the company. Now, signing bonuses and retention bonuses, depending on how and when they're paid, they can have conditions attached to them, such as if it's a signing bonus for sure, if an employee is going to receive a signing bonus, they have to remain as an employee for X number of years. It could be for 2 years, it could be for 3 years. We haven't seen any that go beyond 3 years, where if the employee leaves, let's say after the first year, either the bonus, 2/3 of the bonus has to come back and be repaid, or it's going to be income tax to the employee. Now, the preference from the company standpoint is that it gets repaid, because on the books and records, it's going to show as a loan until the trigger dates happen, the anniversary dates happen, where this bonus then gets forgiven, or gets technically earned, so to speak. Now, you can pay a bonus up front and require, like we talked about, a pro rata repayment where termination ends early. Now, performance bonuses is rewarding profitability. And we talked about this. It can be from profitability of the company. So let's say the company has a very good month or a very good year, and management wants to share some of that profit and some of the profitability and the success with all the employees, then they can declare like a performance bonus. If one particular escrow officer or escrow officer unit is doing very well and has reached certain goals, again, that unit can receive performance bonuses for how they want to for what they've performed and what they've accomplished for the company. Now, when you come up with a payroll structure, compensation package, it can be a combination of any of the above. It can have a signing bonus, it can have performance bonuses, it can have commissions, it can be just straight salary. And it all depends on what your model you want it to be. But also it is going to be tied to what you feel that employee is worth based on their performance, one way or another. Now, there are other benefits to consider in coming up with compensation is that are going to impact you as a company or you as management of the company of what it's costing you. There could be health insurance, because it could be health insurance, dental insurance, possibly disability insurance. Is the company going to pay for the entire premium, or is the company going to pay for a portion of the premium? What if there are dependents, children or spouses that are on the policy, or even parents? Who pays for that? And it's something you're willing to pay for, or that the employee will pay for, or even if it's just a premium on the employee itself, how much of that premium is going to be paid for by the employee versus the employer? And we've seen somewhere it's a percentage of the premium. We've seen somewhere it's a flat dollar amount of the premium every month. Paid time off, vacation pay, sick time. Where how much paid time off are you willing to give an employee during the course of the year? Now, in California, there's a certain amount of sick pay has to be given, but that can be rolled into a paid time off category. We have some companies that do it both ways. They have vacation pay and sick pay and holiday pay all as separate line items. We have some companies like Qatar is trying to track it, and they have just this thing called paid time off, where it's so many hours a year are allotted to that employee, and that's for whatever the employee wants, whether it be for vacation, for sick time, and whether it be and including, let's say, a floating holiday and so on. So these are things to consider. And retirement plans. Now, there are different types of retirement plans. There can be a profit sharing plan. There can be what they call a simple IRA, where it's an employee defers part of their pay, like a 401k as well, where there's deferral done by the employee, but there's also a matching contribution done by the employer. And so that may be something of enticement to the employee, that they know that certain money is going into a retirement plan, whether it be a profit sharing plan or an IRA on their behalf. There can be allowances for automobiles. There can be allowances for cell phones, where particularly more so with like a sales representative that's out in the field all the time, that there's a car allowance, or there's other types of allowances for some of their spending that they're doing on behalf of the company to generate revenue. There's also flexible time schedule. The workday 8 to 5 can be 9 to 6. If one person wants to come in and work from 10 to 7, is that okay? Or they want to get in early at 5 and only work until 2, is that okay? These are situations that, again, you determine on a employee by employee basis, but it's something that may provide an option, an enticement to the employee, that they know, hey, this employer is going to work with me because I have some young kids still at home that I need to pay attention to, or my husband's schedule is a certain way, or so on. That makes it flexible, that they know that he can work with you. Continuing education, whether for the title and escrow companies, do you send people to conferences? Do you send people to monthly meetings? You at least pay attention on the webinars. These are something else that you're willing to invest in the employee, and such as if there's a 1-day escrow conference out of the office, is it worthwhile to send the employee there? Well, yes, it probably is. If they can pick up some business, learning how to do an escrow a little more efficiency, then sure. Then that's a benefit as well. You can give to an employee that you're trying to bring on board. And part of the goal is you want to attract and keep good employees and to stay competitive. And this can be achieved by this willingness we talked about, to invest in the well-being of the employees, because the total amount spent is going to be minor compared to the benefits you're going to have by keeping a loyal employee, a long-term employee who are generating revenue, all these things that benefit the company. And so these are things that you want to pay attention to when looking to recruit and looking to bring on new employees. And hopefully that with some of these updates, it'll help you maintain some education information for yourselves, so you know how much leeway you have in working with employees. When you listen to their pitch, so to speak, on what they want to get paid, how much of a commission are they asking for? And you compare it to what are they producing in escrow fees. And as a sort of rule of thumb guide to be careful of. For every dollar you spend in payroll, it's probably going to cost you anywhere from $1.15, maybe as much as $1.25 in company expense, because you have payroll taxes you're paying for each employee, and it may be that you're going to include them on a retirement plan, where there's going to be significant contributions made, and it may be somebody that you want to put a large amount into the retirement plan for that person. Well, that's a company expense. Health insurance, all these other things, workers' comp insurance. In California, workers' comp is mandatory on all employees. And so the question becomes, in a situation where that there's all these things you're paying for as an employer, it's beyond the dollar you're spending on payroll. And so that's things to pay attention to when there's employee recruiting and employee hiring, and how experienced they are, to help you come up with a compensation package that will work on your side and will work on the employee side as well, because that'll keep everybody happy and focused. That's today's episode for Debits and Credits with Haas and Da. We'll see you all soon on another episode. See you soon. Bye-bye.